£1,000 in a saving account in the year 2000, you'd now have around £60,000. However, if you put that same £35,000 into an E-Type Jaguar, you'd now have £100,000.
Yeah, just about everything, even remotely rare or interesting, is worth a fortune these days. Aston Martin DB5, that'll cost you £750,000. Ferrari Daytona, £600,000. A Pagoda roof Mercedes SL, that'll set you back at least 75 grand now.
Yeah, it's not just exotic cars either. Ford Escort Mexico, OK? Humdrum car, that's a £60,000 thing these days. 60 grand.
It is. However, there are one or two rare and interesting cars that seem to have slipped through the net, whose prices haven't yet gone through the ceiling.
So we decided to get out there and see which of us was best at spotting that investment opportunity.
Exactly. So we each bought a classic car. And then to see which one of us had got the best deal, we took the grand tour to what one of our producers, who's Scottish, always says is the best, most beautiful place on Earth. Scotland. We chose for our meeting point a quaint fishing port near Inverness. And I was the first to arrive in an Alfa Romeo GTV6. Now, you would imagine that when one of these comes onto the market, classic car enthusiasts are running around like they're in a zombie movie and it's Black Friday. But no, I bought this from an 83-year-old man who'd had it since new and was only selling it because his 84-year-old wife found it so difficult to get in and out of, you know. It's only done 26,000 miles, and yet it cost £10,000. And £10,000, that's a round of drinks in the world where this sort of thing belongs. Oh, hello. James May in a Lancia Gamma Coupe. It's one of the prettiest cars ever made, but don't tell him I said that. Morning, May. How much?
£13,500.
Oh, so £3,500 more than I paid for this vastly superior Alfa Romeo.
Well, £13,500 is a bargain for a car that is coach-built and extremely rare and beautiful.
But it isn't exotic like this is.
What do you mean it's not exotic? That is a better-looking car.
What is this?
Yes!
It is superb.
It's not superb.
I tell you what's not superb. Richard Hammond arriving in a Fiat X19. How much?
£2,250.
Somebody saw you coming, Hammond.
What? For a baby Ferrari? 2,200...
Did you just call it a baby Ferrari?
He did.
Because it is mid-engined Italian. It's exactly what it is.
Well, listen to that sound.
I know.
That is the reassuring sound of tin on Russian steel.
It's a light, bright, effervescent sound, just like the car.
How many colours has this car been? It was black, then it was red, then it was white, then it was pale blue, and now it's purple.
I'd like to add, actually, it's not how many colours has this car been, how many cars has this been?
Well, quite. It's now going brown.
Brown, yeah.
All right, then, I'm not going to turn around and try and work out which Alfa you bought.
The best
Oh,
Alfa.
it's a GTV6.
Exactly.
Yep. Why has it got this plastic bit in the middle of the bonnet?
Genius. The engine in this car had a small issue. It used to backfire, well, front fire, actually, and blow the top off the engine, yeah? So that would damage the bonnet, so they put this plastic panel, which was easier to replace.
Why didn't they stop it backfiring?
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
They were busy.
Lazy.
Yes, let's not get bogged down with some of the Alfa's minor design flaws.
Disasters.
Because all three of us have got classic cars.
I have, yes.
For good money.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Scotland, so why don't we take them on a drive in... Well, let's be honest, Scotland is just a road trip.
Well,
I agree.
we could, while we're here, we could do the NC 500. Which, I mean, that is, it's...
Voted by Condé Nast Traveller magazine, voted it the best road trip in the world last year.
Locks, mountains, it's just...
All the pretty bits, yeah.
No, it's all the best bits of Scotland, right?
Yeah.
500 miles round the north coast of Scotland.
In Italian exotic
That
cars.
would be... Oh, hang on.
What?
Text. Yeah. Mr. Willman. Mr. Willman. It says those cars will not do 500 yards, leave alone 500 miles. So I provided 3 backup vehicles which you can use to get home when they go wrong and catch fire and explode. I was wondering what they were.
Funny.
How did he know we were going to do 500 miles?
That's a good point, actually, because Hammond's only just suggested it.
Eventually, we cleared the fishing port and found ourselves on the open road, where we could get down to the business of enjoying our pedigree Italian classics.
Here we go. Last year mounted the power steering hub on the end of one of the camshafts. Basically, you can't really use full throttle, especially when the engine's cold, otherwise the engine will explode. The thermostat's fitted in the wrong place, which leads to overheating very suddenly, and then the engine can explode. And there was a problem with the gasket materials, which causes the coolant to mix with the oil with engine exploding sort of results. My car is just so refined and sophisticated, and in fact really well looked after by its previous owner. It was obviously loved. One of my windscreen wipers just fell off.
Oh dear.
You can't get out.
We just lift it up. There you go. You just have to drive like that. James, can I just say you've done 3 miles?
It's mended for now.
But
Don't turn it on
Let's
again.
just turn it on. I want to see what happens.
Right, okay. You ready?
In Scotland.
In Scotland, you won't need it. That's the thing.
Perfect.
Because it
Right.
never rains. Meanwhile, in the GTB6. Oh no, what's that? Third, right, good. Third. Fourth. No. Transaxle, gearbox at the back, twin plate clutch, discs all round, unusual at the time. One of the best engines ever made, 2.5 litre V6. Oh my God. despite all the weirdness, I do still absolutely love this thing. It was my ownership of a GTV6 that taught me what cars are all about. You need a personality, you need flaws for them to be human. And James May was right for the first time in his life, and only time in his life. This is one of the greatest engines ever made. The creamiest, the smoothest, and the most beautiful to listen to. That's not exhaust noise, that's an actual engine. As James and I enjoyed our classic thoroughbreds, Richard was driving along in his purple Fiat.
Unleash 80 horsepower.
One slight complaint about the Fiat, the pedals are very, very small and very close together. And if you try and operate them with, let's say, your feet, you'll find that your feet are too big. Really, you just need to use a toe on each.
Soon, Hammond spotted a racetrack and suggested we have a go on it. And as we pulled up, it became clear that tiny pedals weren't his only problem. That's quite high revs.
Yeah, idle's quite high, yeah.
Is that its idle speed?
Yes, it's keen.
Since this was actually a go-kart track, it was too narrow for car racing. So I decided we should have a drifting competition.
It doesn't work. It simply doesn't really have the power to throw its tail out properly.
Even though my Alfa had twice the horsepower of the Fiat, things weren't great for me either. Just grip and more grip. I know Roger Moore drifted a GTV6 in Octopussy, but then he crashed into a fence and had to dress up as a clown.
In the Gamma, I was confident I'd succeed where my colleagues had failed.
Right, here we go. Lancia is one of the greatest names in rallying history, so control drift should be second nature to this. As I approach that corner, I'll heel and toe it and... Brake, lift off. No.
At this point, I suddenly remembered something important.
This is front-wheel drive, isn't it? What was I thinking of? It's not going to drift.
Happily, though, the enthralled local audience were able to find a solution.
What I do is I take the rear wheels off, let the tyres down, and put these plastic covers on, then put the tyres back up again, put them back on. That gives the car the loose back end you want to drift. This is like putting insulating tape on the back wheels of your Scalextric cars. Stand by.
With no help from anyone else on this freezing day, the drift covers were soon fitted.
Oh, here we go.
Oh! Right, turn in, get the drift going, and
This entertainment went on for quite some time.
dab of brakes. I'm winning. Here comes the danger bend.
Hold it!
He's turning the steering wheel!
Yes!
Turns the steering wheel!
He did a thing to it. Yes. This looks like a lot of fun. We're going to do that. We're going to try it.
Oh, no, there's the only set.
What are those things?
Yeah, they're the only set, so we can't do it.
Well, no, we can make some.
Did you ask if you could borrow this, Ben?
No, but they won't need it. And rotate. This goes over. It'll require a little bit of persuasion.
James May just
Yeah,
drifted perfectly behind you
This
there.
is another of those weird days.
With his tyre covers made, Hammond decided not to hold back.
Oh, this is going to be...
I mean, seriously, he's going to get to that corner and then... Where can the helicopter land?
Go, go, go! Come on!
Give me everything you've got. Watch this.
Go, go, go!
Time to play.
Go, go!
Right, we're all set.
Try it now. Let's just try again. No, that's fallen off. That could be interesting. And I am turning in. Drifting. Oh, no. I've got no steering.
Annoyingly, Hammond's dismal failure didn't stop him fitting his ridiculous contraptions to my precious Alpha. and insisting that I have a go. Think of the trouble Alfa Romeo went to make this car exquisite. Think of the trouble that Pirelli went to make the tyres grip properly. And then along comes Hammond with the bin. Go. Ow, God, that looks tricky. Come on. Speed is the answer. It is quite scary through here. Look at that for a tidy line. Oh yeah, pretty good. What was that noise? Whole car's vibrating. Yeah, that's a massive vibration. Hammond, you blithering idiot! You totally ruined this car! An inspection of the undersides revealed some grim news. That has come off. So the prop shaft is now, well, it's still joining the gearbox or the transaxle to the engine, but by a thread. And if I did anything more than rev it like that, it's going to come off. If I'm driving along, and that's the end of the Alfa.
Well, that's interesting. My car's working and I'd like a drink. The hotel is about 25 miles away, so I think I'll get on with it, if you don't mind.
You can't leave, no, you can't leave me now.
What do you mean I can't leave you now?
Well, it's, have you seen how cold it is?
I can't see how cold it is, but
No, but
I
I actually just looked.
in the...
Drizzle 6 feels like 2.
Well, you know what would warm you up?
What?
A bicycle ride. It always does.
Oh my God. Oh.
20 miles through this freezing middle of nowhere.
Hey, Richard the Hamster Hammond. Is your car warm and dry? I'm just checking.
Yeah, I'm warm and dry. You warm and dry?
I'm very warm and dry. Oh, I meant to ask, would you like a long gin and tonic sitting at a bar stool?
Yes, yes, I would. And we've only got, well, it's not far, in a car.
Oh, God. Oh, come on! Rub it in! Seriously, rub it in!
We're going to need to rehearse it.
What?
Well, what we say when he's found. Look, so we're on Breakfast TV, you're on the sofa, yeah?
Oh, okay.
Good morning. With me now is James May, that's how they speak, who has just learnt of the sad demise of his co-host and colleague, Mr. Jeremy Clarkson. James, how do you feel that his body was found in a ditch with a bicycle this morning?
Was it?
Yes.
No, that's not right, is it?
No.
Sorry, could you do that again?
James. This is radio, okay? Good morning, 9:05. James May is with us. We only learnt this morning of the sad demise of... Oh, bugger.
What?
All of that rehearsing, mate. Waste of time.
Ugh.
Because he's outside right now, fighting with the bicycle lock by a fence. Oh, you look cold.
It's cold. Oh, why won't this work?
Paper boys can work one of those, mate.
Oh, Steve, I don't care.
He's left the key in it. What a muppet.
Oh, God. Oh, come on. Hammond! 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 The next morning, the peaceful stillness was shattered by the cry of a distressed animal.
Clarkson! Clarkson! Where's my roof? Right. Bastard! What was that? What? Oh, you are joking. No. 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 He hasn't. He's not that sick.
Morning.
What?
Morning.
Yeah, whatever. Oh!
Why have you driven over your own roof?
Clarkson. He's sick. Enjoy your day on your bicycle, bastard. Well, I'm cold now, obviously. Borrowed a jacket from a cameraman. He's 6'3" and 18 stone. I'm in a small, stylish Italian sports car. Supposed to be looking good. I look like a frostbitten gnome.
Rotten trick, that.
I wouldn't stand for it.
The only thing that worries me is he might get some exercise on his bicycle. Ha ha ha!
Do you think he's already just become one of those embittered cyclists who hates anybody who's got a car? Oh, jeez.
What? Oh, come on!
Go.
Drive carefully.
I was very brave.
He did not mend that.
Very good. Now, I have to say, the only reason why we met on a beach full of oil rigs and then drove through a cancel a state full of hypodermic needles, is to annoy, well, simply and only to annoy our Scottish producer.
Yes, but we will not tell you Gav's name, we promise.
No, we won't say his name. Anyway, look, it all gets a lot sunnier and prettier in part 2, when we finally get on the North Coast 500, and we'll pick that up later on. I want to talk about the BMW M5, which has always been, as I'm sure we all know in here, the ultimate Q car. It is a fizzing lunatic in a Geoffrey Chaucer suit. However, the new M5 has turbocharging, so it's kind to polar bears, and it has four-wheel drive, so it's safe, and it has an automatic gearbox, and that's all very nice. But is it what we want? Let me first of all explain the basic recipe for a BMW M5. It's a four-door saloon with a boot at the back, space for 5 businessmen in the middle, and a monstrously powerful engine at the front. That's the main thing about an M5. It must be extremely fast. On the face of it, then, the new version seems to tick all the important M5 boxes. It's sensible, and thanks to 592 horsepower, it is Ferrari fast. But what about the turbochargers and the automatic gearbox? And what about the all-wheel drive system? Does all that mean it's no longer capable of being a swivel-eyed lunatic? No, not really.
Drive carefully. Very quick. That's will do. Come on.
If you want it to do this all the time, you can actually turn off the four-wheel drive system. Seriously, you can turn it off. Just have it in rear drive only. Behave like a complete yobbo. Yeah! And that's just the start of the M5's adaptability. You can choose how much traction control you'd like. You can choose how sporty and responsive you want the engine to be, how uncomfortable you'd like the ride to be, how meaty you'd like the steering to be, how quickly you want it to change gear, and what you want on the head-up display. You can even choose what sort of noise you want the exhausts to make. Oh, and look at this one. This menu allows me to choose what fragrance comes out of the air conditioning vents. I can have the Blue Suite, which is a waft of pure water pearls, or I can have this one, which gives me a golden shower of fiery aromas. And this is all very Pacific Rim. It's very CGI, and that's great. But the truth of the matter is that the 50-something businessmen who'll buy this car will never change the fragrance setting or any of the other stuff. He'll put it in four-wheel drive comfort mode on day one and leave it there forever. And if he's going to do that, there may be a better alternative. It's made by a German tuning company called Alpina, and it's another take on what a fast BMW should be like. It actually produces 600 horsepower. That's more than you get from the M5. It has more torque too. And there's no nanny limiter. So this will do 205 miles an hour. Does this mean then that on a track the Comfort Wagon can keep up with the ultimate sports saloon? This car was not developed to race track. The boss of Alpina says if you engineer a car to be good at the Nürburgring, it won't be any good on the road. And he may have a point on that. It is quite scary through here. It actually produces 600 horsepower. That's more than you get from the M5. It has more torque too. And there's no nanny limiter. So this will do oh God. Oh, look at that for a tidy line. Go. Drive fast. Oh, dearie me. Flat yeah. M5 is tauter, more nailed down, more on it somehow. So, on a track, make no mistake, the M5 will pull away. In fact, it is doing. We're both cats, it's just that he's a cheetah and I'm a lion. If then you care about shaving tenths of a second off your lap time at a racetrack, you're better off with an M5. But for going home on the M4 in the real world, which is what I'm about to do, I'd rather use the Alpina. So I shall.
Very interesting observation. So after all of that, you would have the worst car?
Well, yes, because it's better.
It sounds better to me, I've got to say.
Oh, well, says the voice of speed.
Well, I tell you what, let's find out how fast the M5 goes round the Ebola-drome.
Flying onto the straight there, wouldn't look into it, Jack. Now, plunging into your name here, looking a little edgy. Dabbing off a bit of speed at the midpoint. Really hard on the brakes for Old Lady's House. The understeer will show itself, taking no prisoners on the blast substation. Altering the Pirelli screw there, just beyond the sheet to go. Across the line.
look quick.
It looks quick, but it looks like it's heavy.
It is.
It looks heavy. Anyway, there's the lap board, and we can see the old M5 look down there, 17th place, 1 minute 24.2. So let's see where the new one goes. Is it quicker? Oh, it is. Yes. Oh, my word. 4 seconds faster.
That's staggering, isn't it?
That's absolutely amazing. Now, I have to say, we did time the Alpina, but we haven't filmed it.
Why not?
Well, because it's going to be slower.
It is. You are going to look such an arse if it isn't.
Well, I am, but it won't be. Let's find out. Let's see where it goes. This is the Alpina. There you go. You see, slower, as I said. But 121.6, not bad. Not bad.
So if you do want a taut, fast, super saloon, his advice is get the flabbier, slower one.
Yeah, it's better.
This really is some clear buying advice again this week.
It is. Anyway, let's get on to some actual clear buying advice, shall we? Let's get back to our film in Scotland. Tonight, we are doing a tour of the North Coast 500 around the top of Scotland in some beautiful Italian classic cars and a Fiat X19.
Well, yes, but you two had both had mechanical issues.
Yes.
Yeah, we did, but we still had hope in our hearts that things would get better. As we cruised along, our Italian classics and the Fiat continued to provide unexpected entertainment. I'm going to show you a fantastic feature on this car. Here are the heating and ventilation controls. I've got it on warm because it's a cold day, but look what happens when I press the air conditioning button. It's haunted! Did you see that? Look. I think I'll cool myself down.
My head itches because of this hat. But if I take it off, I'll freeze to death.
Soon, Hammond insisted we stop for a cup of tea to ward off his hypothermia.
I've had a thought.
That's very uncharacteristic.
I was going to say, first time ever.
No, this is based on experience and knowledge. Right, problem with the NC 500, we all the way around here, we miss this bit. We're here, right, and we miss this road, which I have driven, and it is breathtaking. Not just the scenery, which is incredible, but the actual road itself.
I'm sorry, but if we just go along here...
Yeah.
We're not exactly doing the NC 500, are we?
No, but what if we create our own route and claim it for the Grand Tour? We could call that the Scottish Highlands Intermediate Tour. How far is it?
It's about 287 miles if we do that.
Scottish Highlands Intermediate Tour 287.
It would be the... No, hang on, that doesn't work, does it?
Piloting extremely nicely in Scotland.
287.
Yeah.
The piloting extremely nicely in Scotland, 287. That would do. You see, that's your second thought of the day.
It's because of the hat.
With the new route sorted out, we set off. And it turned out that it wasn't quite like Hammond had said. It was much, much better.
Hello, forward. Away.
Eye the view. It's amazing. Look at it.
I mean, this is heaven.
In fact, the moment was so magical, it had taken my mind off something that had been troubling me all day. Today is the 11th of April, and I don't want to sound like Eeyore, but it's my birthday, and those two haven't remembered. All of the crew have said happy birthday. The director said happy birthday. James and Richard, nothing. Ullapool, 26 miles. Ullapool, I might be able to get the prop shaft balanced there. That's quite a big town. Guys, how far are we from the hotel now, do you know?
About 30 miles, 35.
Well, as it's not late, I'm going to dive into Ullapool and see if I can get my prop shaft balanced.
You're gonna what?
It's vibrating and it will hurt the car, so I want to just get it balanced up and I'll see you at the hotel later on.
That is uncharacteristically conscientious of Jeremy to want to go and mend his car, but it's actually very convenient for me and Hammond. We've got something in mind. The thing is, we hadn't forgotten it was his birthday, and with him gone, we could shoot ahead and set up his surprise party.
Balloons coming in.
Oh, this is nice.
Right, loosen it off, and that will allow the prop shaft to settle where it wants to settle.
While the short-sighted orangutan ruined his car, I was busy in the kitchen. For Jeremy's birthday feast, I am preparing his favourite dish, spaghetti bolognese. But, as it's his birthday and as we are here, I'm going to give it a Scottish twist. Yes, I am doing that. I'd say that is ready. Oh, yeah. That will do nicely. And there it is. Spaghetti McBolognese.
Whilst Richard was battering and deep frying everything in sight,
In you go, my wee beauties.
I was organising the guests, who are now all here and waiting for the birthday boy.
Oh, hello, here it is. Here it is. Oh. Countach. Lancia 832. There's obviously some kind of classic car meeting going on. Oh, wait a minute. Can't believe it. I cannot believe it. You remembered.
Of course we remembered. Actually, it's better than that. We're having a party for you.
No, but James. There's a classic car meet going on.
No, they're your guests. For your birthday party.
It's a 3.2 as well. Oh.
Still, it could be worse. And then it was, because it was time to sit down for Richard's Scottish dinner. Battered spag bowl, followed by a deep-fried cake. This is the worst birthday party I've ever had.
Come on, we made an effort. Anyway, shall I get the bagpipes?
The next morning, we were up and on the road, bright and early. This is the first April the 12th since 1972 that I haven't had a hangover. Thanks to the world's worst party organisers, Messrs. May and Hammond. Oh no, the vibration is back. Why can't I do anything? But, despite my problems, the sun was shining, and Scotland was more spectacular than ever.
Didn't like that at all. There you go. Oh, come on.
That's annoying.
Qualified. Oh, God. What? Oh, for God's sake.
Shut up.
Are you ready? Right.
only 50 miles to go to the finish point on our loop. So it felt like a good time to sum up our wonderful cars and Richard's Fiat.
Some cars achieve classic status because they're rare, they're thoroughbreds, like those two. And with that, you have to accept they'll be delicate, temperamental. Some cars achieve classic status simply because they're really good. The X19 was good when it was designed and built first, and still is today. Add to that it cost me just over £2,000.
Rare, interesting, beautiful. Those are the criteria by which I think you should judge whether or not a car is a true classic. It has to be at least two of those things to qualify. So let's have a look at my Lancia. Well, it's definitely beautiful. It's a truly superb bit of car styling, this, and it's rare.
Look at it and tell me you can think of another car anywhere on Earth for 10 grand that you'd like more than this.
Bidding a fond farewell to Hammond's magnificent penis, we got back to the town where we'd started, Inverness.
Mission accomplished.
Well, there we are. In just 3 days, we have covered a staggering 287 miles.
Well, yours was on an AA truck for a bit of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But apart from one catastrophic failure that required somebody to drive from Swindon in Wiltshire all the way to Inverness with a spare part.
Don't forget that my windscreen wiper fell off as well.
Yeah, and one of my headlamps is stuck.
Yeah, but apart from those things, we have proved that it is still possible to buy and enjoy a classic car, even if you're quite poor.
Yeah, we should be proud of that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
With that, back to the studio. Tent.
Tent.
Because we're quite poor.
Yes.
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny. Over the years, we have travelled the whole world looking for the best driving roads.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was just next door all along.
I have to say, I don't want to say this in front of our Scottish producer.
Do not name Gavin Whitehead.
No, I shan't, but that was just about the best drive I've ever had. That road, that scenery, that Alpha.
That party.
No, not the party, but everything else was, well, it was perfection.
I do agree with you. I thought it was spectacular, but we should get back to the point of this film, which is that you can buy an affordable classic car that is also an investment.
Are you sure you want to raise this particular point, James? Why don't you tell the ladies and gentlemen how it worked out with your Lancia?
Well, OK, I spent £13,500 on the car, and when I got it home, I discovered that the price of putting it right was only £6,000.
So your investment has gone down by 45%.
Correct. Yes.
Now, my Alpha, as I said in the film, I have brought it home with me. And since we made that, which was April, so 9 months ago, it's only cost £8,000 in repairs.
So your investment has gone down by 80%.
Yes, what about you?
100%.
Really?
Yeah. Day after we finished filming, the engine blew, car in the bin, all gone.
So to conclude then, all of us have lost some money and one of us has lost all of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that's right.
And on that terrible disappointment, it is time to end. I'm going home now in my Alfa Romeo.
No, you're not.
You live over there.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, exactly. Too far.
Whatever. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time. Bye.